if you looked at our club, we probably do get caught up, or have in the past got caught up in what people were saying about us, or whether that's writing us off or pumping us up, and that's taken our eye off the ball.
In today's episode of the West Sports Show, I am joined by Fremantle coach Justin Longmuir, and I'll ask him about the expectations for this season, Murphy Reid's brilliant summer, what they're doing with their ruck position, and what they're going to do about all their injuries. And clearly, I've got one too. This episode is brought to you by TabTouch. The more you know, the better it gets. Download the TabTouch app today. Real punters play here. What are you really gambling with? And with opening round just days away, don't forget to sign up to footy tipping with The Game. Every round, the top tipper wins $1,000 thanks to Thirsty Camel. And this season's top tipper wins $50,000 thanks to TabTouch. Sign up now at thegame.com.au. We'll include a link in this episode's description. Well, we are just days away from the opening round, which means we're just over a week away from the start of the AFL season. I'm pleased to say that Fremantle coach Justin Longmuir has joined me. Thank you, Justin.
No worries.
Now, clearly, let's start with some injuries because I'm injured. So let's talk about your injuries. When you look through your group, Alex Pearce, Brennan Cox, Carl Warner, Sean Darcy, Luke Ryan, and now Hayden Young, how many of them do you think will be available for round one?
All of them, I'm hoping. Yeah. Some of them are returning, obviously, from injury. Some of them are new, but on the lower end. So I'm hoping, all of them will be up for selection.
What do you know about Hayden Young right now, given it's 2:30 on Wednesday and it happened about 4 hours ago?
All I've been updated with is he's had some soreness in his lower leg. So, from my understanding, it was not much, but I understand that he was talking to the medicos in line of sight for everyone, and it's become something big. But I'm fingers crossed that you'll train Friday and there's nothing there.
So it's not an injury; it's just he felt a little bit of pain, and that was enough.
Yeah, we're not. We haven't. It was the first time today we've seen the players since the game. So some of them, they did a flush run yesterday. He didn't report, I don't think, any soreness out of that. So it just came up in training today, and we're 11 days. I think it is out from round one. So just don't want to take any risks, and wasn't the most important session of all time today. So him not doing it was a no-brainer, really. And
Alex Pearce specifically, we haven't seen him really do anything since the calf soreness. Has he pinged a calf or is he just sore?
I think he's re-aggravated a little bit of what he did pre-Christmas with that calf injury on the lower end, or really low end. So we're hoping he gets up for round one. The indicators are that he should, and got him penciled in.
Mason Cox's pre-season couldn't have been any more impressive, I reckon. Where does he sit right now in the pecking order with Sean Darcy, given Darcy has been injured and unable to play? Has Cox now pushed himself ahead for round one?
Sean's got a little bit of work to do before he's available for round one. Friday is going to be a pretty big session for him. If Sean, it's hard one to say. I understand the question in a body of work sense, but thought when Sean was training early in pre-season, his ruck form was really strong and really strong against Mason. We've probably lacked a little bit of ruck depth with us trying to play Jacko through the middle of the ground, and it's allowed Mason to ruck against some Peel players and players who maybe aren't rucks. So he's done really well though, and thought his game on the weekend was really strong. Thought he could have been a little bit more physical in the West Coast game, but that physicality returned against Adelaide and gave our mids first use. So if Sean's not up for it through fitness and availability, well then I'm sure Mason can do a really good job.
So Mason was recruited, the way it was described at the time, to give you some genuine bona fide AFL player as a backup ruck, and that he was aware that was his role within the club. Is that still a conversation you have ongoing with him about his job was to be the backup, and it's Sean and Luke if they're fit?
Those conversations are probably not framed up like that every week, and especially since he got to the club, it was never framed up to Mason like that, because I want him to challenge the others and challenge for a spot in the team. He didn't come over here to be a backup. That's not his mentality. He came over here to challenge for a spot in the team, and he's put his best foot forward in that sense. So, it's a balance between telling players where they're at, but you don't want them to lose any of their motivation. So, the conversations with Mason has been around, challenging for a spot and what he needs to do to improve his footy rather than, where he is in the pecking order, so to speak.
Your game plan is always a hot topic of discussion, and ball movement specifically. So Champion Data provided me some stats on ball speed, because that's what is always talked about with you. So for overall speed, you've been the slowest team in the comp for 5 of the last 6 years. For how long it takes players to dispose of the ball, you've been the slowest for the past 5 seasons, and you're ranked number 1 for long kicks down the line in 2025. They've said when you played at the AFL average speed, you won 68% of your quarters compared to 50% when below average. Where do you see the speed of ball movement in your game compared to the control of your game? How important is it to change the way you play, or do you think it's important to stick with what you know?
No, we want to balance our game out, of course. So I think we're 18th for marks last year. Yep, and I think there's definitely times when we can get the ball out of our hands a little bit quicker, see it hit it, and get the ball moving. But we need balance. Like think up to around 10 last year when everyone was saying we're the slowest ball movement team, we'd scored the most or second most out of our back half. And when you look at scores per turnover, so I would think that's a pretty good indicator. Others might not. I think we score out of our back half off turnover a reasonable amount. We can score more, as every team would be saying. I think our fast play when we win off a ground ball and our ability to use our hands and forwards drop out the front, I think that's as good as we've seen, as good as anyone in the comp. I think long down the line has been a real weapon for us because of our tall targets and our ability for our forwards to lengthen off that. So that's a weapon. We want to add a little bit more slow play and be able to mark the ball a little bit more. I think it'll help out when momentum's against us as well. But if you look at scoring, we don't score a lot less than Brisbane out of our back half, or Geelong for that matter. What they do is they probably score more out of their front half and capitalise on those turnovers. They get closer to goal, which we're looking to do, and add that to our game consistently. We're not the finished product by any stretch. We'll always keep evolving our game plan to look for avenues to get better. It's a pretty simplistic way of looking at the game if you just look at ball movement as well, because where you win the ball back plays a big part in how you move the ball, and that doesn't come into those stats. And how you win the ball back is through team defence and winning contests usually. And I think you look at the Western Bulldogs game, which is one of those games that they'll be talking about. And first quarter, our ball movement was really slow. Well, no wonder our ball movement was slow. We're winning the ball back, deep in our defence the whole time. And having to go through 35 players on the field is a hard way to score. The second quarter, our contest was a lot better. Our team defence was a lot better, and we won the ball back in areas which allowed us to go back at the opposition. So. There's a lot of factors that go into moving the ball well. And I bet you if you looked at those fast ball movement quarters that you're talking about there, our team defence and our contest would have been strong in those quarters, which made it a lot easier on our ball movement.
One of the other stats, which I thought this is intriguing, was that Champion Darcy said the biggest change last year was the direction you moved the ball. So of all the teams who kicked the ball in a straight line towards the goals, effectively, rather than sideways or backwards, you were the second most aggressive in the comp, up from 12th in 2024. So was there a dramatic change in the way you wanted them to play last year to go forward rather than sideways or backwards?
We teach our players to take what the elbow gives us, right? And there's times when we need to change angles, and there's times when you can head straight towards goals. And we'll never be 100% get that right, but if you go too straight, it becomes a little bit too predictable for the opposition, which we found at times last year. And so we need to be able to shift the ball off the line and change angles when the time permits. Usually when you win the ball back in the middle of the density, they're good opportunities for you to go straight at goals. When you win the ball back and the back of the density, you probably need to take the ball off the line and change angles and try and avoid the 17 or 18 defenders in front of you. So trying to educate our players on what options open up in any one time, and it takes a fair bit of maturity and to get that right consistently, and we're building towards that.
So when you look at this season, in the pre-season, you've experimented with your midfield a lot. I thought it was interesting on the weekend that more than a third of your centre square setups only included one of Caleb, Andy and Hayden, and there was one where you didn't have any of them in there. Is that the plan for this year, to go really spread out with that, as opposed to the heaviness that you needed to at times last year with Caleb and Andy especially? But your big three, is it not going to necessarily be going to the big three all the time?
Yeah. We want, when Caleb and Andy are on the field, we want them to spend a large percentage of their game time as midfielders. That's where they play their best footy. That's where they've done a really good job for us. So we want to allow them to play to their strengths, which are as inside mids. But like you said, we don't want them to have to carry the load as much as they did last year. For me, you have to earn your right to play in the midfield. Everyone wants to be a midfielder when they come into the AFL, but you have to earn the right to go in there. And I feel like we've got a lot of players now who have earned that right to be in more centre bounces or play more minutes in the midfield. So I think for Caleb and Andy's freshness across the course of the year and their game loads, playing forward and adding that string to their bow won't hurt them in the long run. And across the course of the season, it might keep them a little bit fresher than perhaps they were last year. Added to that, I think in short periods that they can have impact as a forward. We saw a couple of years ago when Youngie was in the midfield and we had probably a little bit more depth in the midfield. Caleb went forward, and as a deep forward, he wins contests and hits the scoreboard. And Andy, as a high forward, has a running ability and the patterns to be able to impact in that role as well. So added to that, we want to throw a few more different looks at the opposition and not be as predictable. So it all goes into the melting pot, and then game times are worked out and very rarely stuck to.
How different has your midfield become due to Luke Jackson's size and uniqueness with the way he plays the game?
Yeah, he definitely adds a different dimension. And Youngie adds a different dimension as well because he's bigger and adds a bit more physicality to our midfield. So I think it asks a question of the opposition when Luke's in there. Don't very often see a 201 centimetre midfielder. So he asks questions of him, not only at stoppage with his size and his ability to hunt and pressure the opposition, but also in transition he offers something a little bit different and someone that we can target with ball in hand. So yeah, he definitely gives us a different look.
And Murphy Reid's summer has been, from outside looking in, just remarkable for a second-year player. Attitude, the way he looks is phenomenal when you look at what some guys do when they come back and enjoy their first summer of hanging out with their mates again. Like, how impressed have you been with his ability just to get better and be better as an athlete at the same time after all the success that you had last year?
Really impressed. Yeah, and we try and set our players up for success over the off-season, understanding that your first off-season is obviously your most difficult one because you don't know what you don't know. So we sit down with all our players and talk through their off-seasons and make sure that, we problem solve any issues that might confront them, whether they're travelling overseas or going back to their home state and not around their teammates. We did that with Murph, but he clearly stuck to the program, came back fitter, stronger. Touch wood, I don't think he's missed a session. And we've seen his fitness flourish off that great base that he set up for himself over the off season. And when you're fit and you're not working on, you don't have to necessarily do extras with your fitness. It allows you a lot of opportunity to work on your footy, and he's going to work on that, and he's improved out of sight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes.
His ability to use the ball and make everyone else better is the feature of his game. How important is that for this group to have Caleb who can just win it on the inside? Youngie kicks it amazingly. Jackson can create havoc, and Andrew Brayshaw just works so damn hard. So having him as the one who can just change things, what does that do for you?
Yeah, it definitely gives us that different dynamic. His great ability to drop out the front of contests and find himself in space, which is sort of, one day he might be a full-time midfielder, but we like him as a small forward because a lot of his possessions happen either in really good opportunities to set up a score or mainly forward to centre where he can do some real damage for us. And he's become one of our better kicks going inside 50. So, tall forwards are licking their lips when he gets the ball. But yeah, he's got amazing ability in close and spatial awareness and a real knack of being able to control the ball when others may not be able to. So yeah, he definitely offers a lot as a player, and I think he can impact in different areas of the ground for us.
One of the other guys who you brought in is Shai Bolton last year, and he's got such a reputation being able to change games. But his disposal is really interesting. Like, of the 164 players in the league last year who kicked the ball 200 times, he's ranked 160th for kicking efficiency. Is he rushing at the moment? Is he taking ground just for the sake of it because that's what you wanted to do? Like, where does the way he plays at the moment fit into your game plan, and what the style of use of the ball that he has?
Yeah, I think we got Shai to the club knowing that his kicking can improve. I think his efficiency in front of goal has always been an area for improvement as well. And when you get someone of his talent come to the club and have areas where you think you can improve, it's a real bonus, I see, because you're not getting the end product, and that's what we've been working on with Shai over pre-season. I think he probably has felt the pressure a little bit and maybe kicked the ball a little bit long. Well, I love it when he gets in a contested situation and he eludes tacklers, and that's been there all pre-season where he's been hard to tackle, and often those plays lead to someone else getting on the outside. I think he's really bought into the defensive side of the game over pre-season, and we've seen that he's still going to be a threat as a deep forward as well. So when you talk about flexibility of players, he offers a lot of flexibility to us as well, not only with what he does in different areas of the ground, but he can impact in the air and at ground level. So, I just see so much improvement left in Shai, and that's it's something that I'm doing. I'm talking about a multiple premiership player and someone who's achieved a lot in their career. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can produce, given he's a little bit more settled now. His second pre-season at the club, and he understands his teammates a little bit more than what he did this time last year.
Round one against Geelong last year, it was fair to say it was a disaster. I spoke to Alex Pearce at Captain's Day, and he said there was a lot of learnings around the week before and the preparation for that game. Can you take us inside what you did last year and what you might change this year to be more prepared for that round one?
For me, there's a lot of factors. It was a really hot day, and we had, I think, 12 or 13 guys cramping in the last quarter after we'd got it back to a manageable, I think it was under 20 points at three-quarter time. So we had so many guys cramping and not being able to finish off the game, which allowed them to kick 10 goals in the last quarter, and I think 7 out of centre bounce, which was really disappointing and something that hurt our percentage throughout the year. I think some players probably didn't. What's the right word? Probably had outcome-based expectations going into the game, and round one on the road can probably not be the best prep for some. So we need to make sure that we're real process orientated around each individual's role and the way we prepare for the game this year. And I thought there was some mindset stuff as well where we didn't quite trust ourselves or didn't hang on to the ball for as long as we could, and probably felt the pressure of the game and pressure of being on the road and pressure of being behind on the scoreboard, which didn't allow us to capitalise on some of the opportunities that we created for ourselves. So, when the fixture came out, it was one of excitement for me because I love a challenge, and I'm pretty sure this group would be up for that challenge.
So for guys to be cramping in round one, not unusual, but it can often be when it's an opening round situation as well now where you're not playing someone real the week before, do you overtrain? Do you undertrain? How do you approach this weekend compared to what you may have done last year? Did you flog them last year or did you undertrain them last year to freshen them up?
Oh, it's not really. It is an indicator of a lot of different things. It was a 36-degree day, I think, as well, which maybe caught us out. I don't think our pre-game we probably didn't get our arousal levels right. We probably cooked ourselves in the change rooms and burnt too much energy before the game with the excitement of round one. So we need to manage that. There's just a lot of factors that go into cramping. It's not just. I don't think it was a sign of our fitness. I think our fitness showed throughout the years that we're able to overrun teams and that type of thing. There's probably more. The energy levels were spent a little bit too early, in some sense, and the heat was a little bit different to what we used to. It wasn't a dry heat; it was a bit more humidity than what we get here. So there's a lot of different factors that go into that. But we need to get the balance right this week. Some players, as we've already mentioned, are at different levels in terms of fitness. So some guys might need more. We'd even consider some guys maybe for Peel intra-club or practice match. I think they've got this week. So some players need more. Some players who have done the whole pre-season just need some footy stuff. And we'll try and balance that out for the whole squad.
So that last quarter in Geelong was probably reminiscent of what happened in a lot of the games in the back half of the year as well, where you had a quarter which just got away from you.
Yep.
So if you look at the last 9 games, you conceded 5 goals in a quarter 10 times, including an 8, a 7 and a 7, and one of those was the final. When you look back on those, what went wrong during those quarters that allowed that to consistently happen throughout the back end of the season?
Had to look at the themes. It's like we lost our way of roles. And that that stops you from setting the ground up the way you want it set up, and that was definitely the case in the final. When you concede a lot of scores, your contest work, and in particular, I think clearance was a real indicator for us last year, and that dropped away. And I think one of those games would have been the second quarter of the Port Adelaide game, which was contest and clearance, and you play the game in your back half against Port. They're really dangerous. So. It's a good pickup because that was what came out of the final for me. That second quarter was something that happened too often last year, and we want to make sure that we're better at the fundamentals of our game than what we allowed at times last year.
Check out West Coast Hi-Fi's huge in-store only sale. There's 20% off the biggest brands including Yamaha, Sonos and Sony. Save on speakers, soundbars, turntables, headphones and more. Don't miss out. Hurry in and feel the experience with West Coast Hi-Fi. Terms and conditions apply. 20% off is in-store only and it excludes TVs. There's 2 theories in sport. You copy the best to become the best, or you create your own way of being the best and back your own theory in. Which one do you lean towards when you're coaching? Is it start the newest trend or is it get better at the current trend?
No, I think be too simplistic to look at, say, Brisbane and try and copy Brisbane because maybe our personnel is not the same as them. We feel like we've got a pretty good foundation of the way we play, what we value. I think we've got a real good buy-in across the coaching group and playing group for our brand of footy, and we'll just keep looking to get better at that.
One of the biggest changes this year will be no Nat Fyfe and no Michael Walters. But the Fyfe specifically last year, how did you handle, in retrospect, the pressure to make sure he finishes his career the way he deserves to finish it versus the pressure of what he could actually do with his own body out there towards the end? I'm a big believer that you send the emotional superstar out the right way and play until they can't play anymore. Others say, if you're not good enough at that point, then you're done. You made sure he was out there at every opportunity. How did you handle that in retrospect to make sure that went the way you wanted it to?
Always in the back of my mind is make sure we handle the exit in the right way, but always put the team first, and it is what the team needed and what the team needs. And I thought, hand on heart, thought Fyfe offered us something in that role that he played. And I thought it suited him perfectly given his fitness levels and his body, capabilities of his body. And I think he showed that throughout the year when he came on in some pretty pressurised moments throughout the season as that sub, he was able to give us some real stability in that role. He was able to add to our midfield when everyone else was fatigued with his ability to hunt the ball and in his size, but also the patterns he ran in general play really helped us. So thought we got the balance right. Thought, we put the team first, but he was a strong part of helping us.
He doesn't get the finish that he wants while holding up the cup, but so others will now hope to do it for him. How do you handle the pressure of the expectation that you'll be the guy to bring the club what it's been dreaming of?
I don't really think of it, to be honest, that way. Just go about doing my job every day. Clearly, it's something that drives me. Others wouldn't have given so much of my time to this club, but it drives me, but it's not front of mind. Front of mind is making sure that we live in the moment and we improve each day. And strongly feel that as a footy club, if we can live with that mindset of winning each day, well then the rest will look after itself. Feel like we've got a lot of pieces in place. We've done a lot of work over a long time to get to this time. Now it's just about living in the moment and making sure we maximise each day.
Feels like there's people who come for you as soon as you lose a game every single time, and it feels like also there's going to be some less supporters of you who you know in the footy ex-player media this year, because a few of them have moved around, it got back into clubland or have left the industry altogether. How do you handle when it appears like some people don't like you and want you gone from the big time commentator perspective?
Yeah, okay. To be honest, everyone's got a right to their opinion, and and largely that's what that is. It's an opinion on the way we play, how I coach, and everyone's got a right to that. Don't get caught up in it. Don't get my feedback from what people say in chat forums or what people say on TV shows. I get my feedback internally and value what Simon and Joe talk to me about with my coaching. I value what the players are saying about my messaging and the way we're playing, and I've got to model that because that's what I tell our players as well. And I think that's been, if you looked at our club, we probably do get caught up, or have in the past got caught up in what people were saying about us, or whether that's writing us off or pumping us up, and that's taken our eye off the ball. Cop my fair share, but doesn't affect how I rock up to work every day and lead the club.
What are you most excited about this year, whether it's a player, whether it's the way the team's going to play, whether it's the opportunities in front of you? Like what stands out when you wake up in the morning? What's sort of making you get excited about something to do with this season?
Well, I just think there's been improvement in a lot of players across the pre-season. And if you looked at the start of last year, I don't think people in the Eastern States would have known who Patrick Voss was, Murphy Reid was, Heath Chapman, Carl Warner, Neil Rasmus, Matty Johnson, Wags. There's a lot of players I feel like have taken their game to another level, and I've probably missed out half a dozen there that'll come and ask me, why didn't you name me? But I feel like those players are going to be where the improvement comes from, having another pre-season under their belt, getting to that 40 to 80 game mark, become really consistent players who not only play their role week in, week out, but have become great communicators on the field, and really taking some of the load off some of our more senior players in all aspects of our game.
Is that what you hang your hat on coaching wise? The names you mentioned, like Voss wouldn't have got a game in another club because no one else wanted him. Wagner, the same. You bring in SSPs each year who are going well. You bring mature age guys every single year from the VFL or Waffle at Sandford who go really well, and you've been able to turn them into players. When you look at that, is that your biggest strength from a coaching perspective in recent years? You've been able to develop guys into genuine bona fide AFL players?
Well, I don't know whether it's my biggest strength, but it's part of a part that I take very seriously. I want to make sure that as a coaching group, and it's not just me, but as a coaching group, we give all our players best opportunity to be their best self and improve. And everything in our environment sets up to allow them to do that. And I think there's strong evidence to suggest that players come to our footy club and improve year on year. and it's something that I demand of them, and our coaches demand of them, and they demand of each other and from themselves. So I think it's a really important part of a senior coach's job to be able to provide that environment.
Well, hopefully they all step up for you this year. Hopefully you're deep into September and your fans can get the joy that they've been waiting for. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
For more, head to thewest.com.au. Remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music.